Welcome back to the channel. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's supported me and really sent me beautiful comments for the last projects we did. I really do appreciate it. I'm greatly encouraged. Today, it's getting near Christmas. Now you might be going to somebody else's house or you might be hosting Christmas in your house. So I thought as a last minute little project, I'll do something that will benefit you. You can either take it with a dish or the plate to somebody else's Christmas table, or you can use it on your own. So let's get our Christmas craft fabric together and let's go ahead and see what we can do with it. If you remember, we made the cathedral table runner in the blue. I think there was a green one as well that I demonstrated, but this was the blue one. And I'm just thinking, if you've already made that, how nice would that look in Christmas fabric? So I tried it and look at the difference. Just look at the difference. That would be a lovely table runner even for a decent sized coffee table or a dining table, or for a lovely gift. It's just nice. I've quilted it around the edges. Didn't take long at all to do because they're made in sections, and you can make 4 sections all in one, chain sew it and then put it together. I just thought I would give you that idea to make a present or a runner for yourself for Christmas. So this is the first one I've made up so you can actually see. Now the thing is, when you go to put a hot pan or a casserole dish or a serving dish on your table, you don't want that to burn anything underneath, and you also want it to keep it a little bit warmer underneath the dish. So for this project, I'll show you exactly what you need, and this looks very nice on your table. I will just mention, I also made little favour bags because I thought they looked rather nice as a match-up. So if you had these on the centre of your table, if you made them for your guests, that would be rather nice as well, in the same fabrics of course. So anyway, so what we will need 2 squares, 9.5-inch squares of your Christmas fabric, your pale fabric. You will need insulated wadding. Now this is the wadding with the silver on. It's going to reflect the heat up back to the dish, not down to your table. So you'll need 1 square of that at 9.5 inches and a square of lightweight wadding. 1 4-inch square. I have put applique adhesive paper on the back because I'm going to sew that onto there. You could also put a square of lightweight wadding underneath that, give it a bit more bounce, and you'll need a strip 2.5 inches across your fabric, the width of your fabric, for the binding. Place one of your 9.5-inch fabric squares right side down on your board. On top of that, put with your rougher side, one side is very sort of fleecy and the other side is a bit rougher, a bit firmer. Put that right side down there on the back of that. Get rid of him. This you are going to put right side up on the top of that, and then the next piece, the other piece of your 9.5 square on the top of that. Now when I did mine, I actually did sew. Hold on, let me move that. I did sew my square through one of the thicknesses of the wadding because I felt I wanted it to be quite secure. I am going to machine stitch around that at the finish, but I just wanted it to be a bit more firm there. So I'm going to take the insulated wadding, take my paper off for my applique, and I will iron that on. I will measure from there to the corner, the diagonal corner there to there and to there, and make sure it's absolutely square in the middle. So I'll go now and I'm going to applique this. I can use a buttonhole stitch or a zigzag, a small zigzag, and on that one piece, and then we'll attach it to the other piece. Just remember to keep your work squared up with your, if you've got a 9.5-inch square ruler, that helps. So I've appliqued that on, and what I actually did was I popped a piece of lightweight wadding just on the back of that, underneath here, in between. It just cushions that a little bit more, which is going to help the heat not to go down to the table. So right side down with your other square, put your lightweight wadding on the top, then your appliqued piece on the top of that. Now the next step for me, I will quilt this now. I'll stitch around, I'll pin it well of course, stitch around here with a straight stitch, and then I will go around like this one, halfway between that edge and that edge. So if you've got, you measure that, that's about 2.5 across there. So just measure the line half. I do it with an iron-off pen so that I keep the line as I'm quilting. But just do the quilting now through all your layers before you put on your binding. I've done my quilting around here, but I noticed something when I checked with that. The 6.5, if you've got a 6.5-inch square, that's perfect. So you can draw with an iron-off pen, just draw around your 6.5-inch square, making sure it's in the middle, and then you can quilt around those lines. All I've done is done that round there and once around the square. So on the back you've just got your quilting, I don't know if you can see that, but just got quilting on the back. So the next step is, because you have so many layers, you've got 4 layers there, that will be a little bit difficult to put underneath your binding. I've ironed my binding strip in half, by the way. That was your 2.5-inch strip, folded in half, so that will go around there. But before you put that on, this will make quite a lot of bulk, 4 layers. So just lightly zigzag close to the edge all the way around before you start to put on your binding. When you go to put your binding on, I'm going to hand sew to the back today. So leave about a 5-inch tail, start down one side fairly low, because when you come here you need this gap to join. So start down there and take your binding round, and then you can join it and stitch it to the back and you're finished. But that looks a bit better with the, I put a piece of wadding in between, as I told you. It just gives it that little puffiness, and it will also help with the reflection of heat coming back up to your dish. So that's the one I've just completed. I've stitched the binding to the back. It doesn't take very long. That was the one I showed you in the beginning. So that's 2 I've got for my Christmas table. But supposing I've got, which I have, got a longer table, I might need a 3rd one in the center. So for that, I thought, why not make something round and just make it look a bit like a chocolate box or something. So I thought I will do that, and I will show you next how that's done. So the center one sometimes on your table is a slightly larger. So instead of it being 9.5-inch square, I've done an 11-inch circle. Now for me, cutting my circle, I thought I'll find something round that's about 11 inches, and I found an old microwave turntable, and I got a pen or a pencil, drawn around my fabric and cut all of it out using that. So I've now got my 1, 2, 3, 4 layers again, as I had for the square ones. This time I thought might be nice to make it look a bit like maybe a chocolate box effect. So I've got a strip going across there. It's just a folded strip, but I will stitch it on. And I've cut 2 circles. I've fussy cut the little one and just an ordinary circle there, and it's about 3.5 in diameter, and I'm just going to attach that by applique. I've got the fusible webbing already done on the back. Fussy cut this one to put that in the middle, so it will end up looking like that. Now with this one, of course, you know when you've got something circular you have to have bias binding. So if you are not quite sure about bias binding, I've got 3 handy hints on my videos. Handy hint number 1 will tell you how to sew binding. Handy hint number 2 will give you 3 ways to join your binding, and handy hint number 6 will show you how you can cut bias binding without wasting a lot of material. So just to recap, I've got my bottom piece of fabric right side down on my table, lightweight wadding on the top of that, and these 2 pieces, my insulated wadding, remember silver side up so the heat comes back up to your dish and doesn't go down to your table. Put that on the top of there. I'm going to add my applique onto the top there, going through 2 layers, and then fix that to the bottom just like we did for the square ones. And this time I'm going to join my bias binding to go around the edge, and I will come back when that's all finished. So this is the circular one that's finished. Now I've just quilted around here, and I put a T-plate on to go make a circle around there. I've stitched, you see it's nice and quilted on the back. I've stitched the binding to the back. Remember when you put your bias binding on not to stretch it too hard, because it won't end up with a nice circular finish. So I think that's really nice. Now you've got 3 mats for your Christmas table, and it will take a bit of heat off your table and reflect it back to your dishes. So I think that's a handy thing to have. These I'm going to use on my table, and I'm also going to put some little favour bags that match for each person around my table, just with some chocolates or something in. So I think that's really good. Now I'd just like to say before I finish, thank you to everybody who supported us through this year, because I'm really encouraged by the amount of people that have subscribed and commented on the videos, and for all the people who bought my patterns. I'd just like to say a big thank you and a Merry Christmas to you all. Please remember even now to like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and please press the notification bell, because then as I make the new projects up, then you will get them first up. You won't have to wait, you'll get them first.